We'll go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Campus Life of an Earlhamite. We're so excited that everyone could join us tonight. My name is Julia Cormier. I oversee the campus events as well as virtual events here at Earlham College. So thank you again for coming out tonight or joining in from wherever you are. We have several different of our current students, Earlham students, representing tonight, and they'll tell you a little bit more about what life is like on campus, and they're here to answer any questions that you may have. One thing I do want to let you know that we will be recording the session, so if you feel comfortable having your camera on, that's great. If not, you can always turn it off and then use the chat function as well for your questions too. So whatever your comfort level is, but we of course want you to participate in this and ask questions and yeah, get all your questions answered. So I'm gonna let Andrew take it over.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name's Andrew. I'm a junior here at Earlham. I work in admissions, so I'm actually running this event. Just a little bit about me first. I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm gonna introduce all the students, and then we'll just get going. I've got a couple of questions to ask them, but I want to let you guys know this is really a Q&A session for all of you. So any questions you have at any time, please feel free just to pop into the chat, and I promise you we'll get to them at some point. Maybe right away, maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, if you guys have any questions while we're talking, after we're talking, just please put them in the chat. I'd say open your mic and talk, but that might get chaotic with so many people here. So we'll see. But yeah, like I said, my name's Andrew. I'm a junior biochemistry major here at Earlham. That's one of our interdisciplinary majors. So I kind of do half and half of the biology and the chemistry tracks. I'm minoring in public health. So I am on that kind of pre-health route. I'm not sure what that's going to look like. It might be med school. It might be pre-engineering. We'll see. I'm kind of stressing about that right now, which is a lot of fun because we might have to take the MCAT in the spring. But otherwise, activities I like to do at Earlham. I'm on the soccer team here, so I am a student athlete. So any of you potential student athletes, feel free to ask me about that experience as well. I'm also heavily involved in outdoor education, so I lead a lot of the outdoor trips at Earlham, and I co-convene Health Club as well. And I'm running for senator, and elections are right now, and we'll see if it goes well. But yeah, I'm just gonna call on you guys to make it easier. Donna, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Donna. I'm also a junior here and I'm majoring in economics. I'm from Mauritius, which is like a small island in the Indian Ocean. It's pretty far from here. Yeah. So I'm heavily active in like the student government, and I co-convened the International Student Coalition at Earlham. Yeah. Yush, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Yush. I am also a junior here, double majoring in art history and global management, focusing on marketing, and minoring in museum studies. I am also an international student. I come from a small East Central European country of Slovenia, also quite far away from here, not as far as Mauritius. But yeah, I am leading, I'm not leading any official clubs on campus this semester, but I am sort of a leader of this project called EC Refugee Club, EC Refugee Project, I'm sorry. And we connect Earlham students to NGOs who work with refugees with like volunteering opportunities. And I'm also just involved in international students coalitions, events, and activities.
I can pretend that Yush called me. I will. My name is Charlie. I'm a junior. I am a neuroscience major, physics minor. In my free time, I am involved in like student government in the past. I'm in student, oh my God. I'm in the Student Activities Board, SAB, right now. I co-convene the Ultimate Frisbee team, which is a club sport here. I am a member, not an active member, but I am a member of Cosmos, which is our astrophysics club. I am as involved as I candy, which isn't too much right now, and the bike co-op, which is a pretty cool thing. And let's see what else. Yeah. I'm on the pre-engineering track as well as Andrew. Also, Andrew is one of my housemates right now. Chima?
Yeah, and I'm Chima. I'm originally from Hyde Park, Chicago, although I live in Indiana now. I'm a senior here. I'm double majoring in finance and economics. In terms of extracurriculars, I'm on the soccer team and lacrosse team, although that's I have to choose considering the conditions right now. So I'm probably going to just do soccer. But for clubs, I'm a committee head for Earlham's Black Student Union. I committee the professional development committee. So anyone who, obviously Black students who are interested, feel free to ask me any questions about our union here and like what we do. Past that, I'm also one of the founders of Earlham's Recording Art Studio. So if you're interested in music, we have a fully functional recording art studio. Hidden, it's just like a regular studio that you might see in any recording studio. So it's free for Earlham students to use, and we're in the process of establishing a couple majors and minors for that. So that's a really cool thing that we're working on. Yeah, I think that's really about it. So.
Thanks, everyone. All right, if we don't have any burning questions, we're just going to get right into it. So really, my idea for the first part of this event is just to talk about what the day-to-day life looks like here. And ideally, I feel like we've kind of had two wildly different time periods. So maybe we can talk about the day-to-day life pre-COVID and the day-to-day life post-COVID. So what an average day looks like right now, and then what an average day looks like, before your ears. So yeah, Donna, do you want to start us off with just what your average day looks like right now?
Yeah, right now, so we're only taking 2 classes right now, and one of my classes is online. So depending on the day, I have only morning classes, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. One of my classes is online, so I usually don't eat breakfast because I really suck at waking up early. So I'd wake up like 5 minutes before my class, log on, and just try to pay attention as much as I can. It's called Urban Political Economy. It's really interesting because right now we're focusing a lot on segregation and how like institutions in the US were basically like used to oppress Black people in the Black community in urban spaces, which was really interesting because I am not from the US, so I didn't really know a lot about like the history of that. And especially like in these times, it's really interesting to hear different people's opinions about that. Yeah, and after that, I usually it lasts until like 11 a.m. After that, I go to Saga, which is the canteen, and have lunch. Saga is usually like a nice place to like see people and just talk to people, like socially distanced, of course. Especially now when like there's not as many like in-person events, it's just nice to see people in person. After that, I work at the Runyon desk, which is sort of like it's like a student center. And I work there where like people can come and play ping pong or like pool. And basically like the job is just sitting there and like overseeing like the game equipment and stuff. After that, I usually like to spend my afternoons reading on the Heart. That's actually one of my favorite things to do on campus. Just sitting on the Heart when the weather is nice and just reading a good book. And there's usually always going to be someone that I know who's going to stop by and say hi, and I'll just chat with them for a bit. I usually do that until dinner. Most of my evenings during the week are spent like homework and yeah, right now, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty boring right now. Yeah. Yush, do you want to tell us about your day?
Sure. So I was just thinking about how it really is like my current day, if it actually is any different from like pre-COVID. Um, and like yeah, we only have 2 classes right now, but like both of my classes are in person, which is kind of nice, and like it gives me like more motivation. Um, yeah, I guess so. But yeah, but I basically wake up at around like 8:30, 9 a.m. Go to class. I only have morning classes this semester as well. And I'm taking 2 classes. The first one is business communication, which is a class for my global management major, where we basically talk about how to communicate professionally in like business environments, how to pretty much how to behave in world of business. And then the second class I'm taking right now is Intro to Art History, which is really funny because I'm an art history major and I'm in my junior year. So I really shouldn't be taking this class now, but I've taken all like other upper level classes in the past, and so this is actually one of my last classes, one of my last requirements for my major. Yeah, but basically I would finish with my class at around noon. I would then grab lunch in Saga. It's really nice right now because we can do takeaway and for the obvious reasons. So there's not too many people in the dining hall. And then I'll usually go outside, sit on the lawn with my friends and eat my meal outside. And then I would usually go to work. I work at the Joseph Moore Museum, which is a small natural history museum here on campus. It's a really unique thing Earlham has to offer because it gives students from who study, various disciplines from art to uh, STEM to museum studies and like a opportunity to do an internship throughout the year and not only during the summer. And I'm on a marketing team there, so I work a lot with social media and I just work on sort of figuring out um, ways of how to get more visitors into the museum, especially now it's becoming really challenging because our museum is closed due to COVID, and we're figuring out how to engage with the public online. So um, yeah, and then after work, which I would normally finish around 4 or 5 p.m., I would go back to my room and just rewind and drink tea and study, and then go to sleep at around 11:30. Charlie, do you want to continue?
Yeah. So I'll do a quick walkthrough of what my day has looked like today thus far, which is, keep in mind, it's very different circumstantially than what my days have been like for the past 2 years. So I live in the apartment. We call it Brick City. It's also known as Campus Village. It's essentially like a little apartment complex that's about as off campus as you can get while still technically living on campus, so or in Earlham buildings. And so I'll wake up. Today I didn't have any classes because my classes are on Tuesdays and Thursdays only. Right now I'm taking modern physics and the same art history class that Yush is taking. I make my breakfast, and then I have to skedaddle to Runyon Center, which I also work the same desk job that Donna does, which is, she pretty much described it. We just watch over, make sure everything goes chill. I do that from 10 to noon, and then I come back to the apartment because I got to eat lunch. For the past probably 4 days, that has consisted of a single quesadilla because I'm not great at time management and I have to make lunch really quick. And then I go back to CST, which is our bigger science building. And in the basement, I had my physics lab today, which today we did a lab over Compton scattering and the Compton effect, which kind of proved and established the principles of quantum mechanics, which is really cool. Also, it was discovered in Washington University, St. Louis, which Earlham has a engineering program connection with. So if you want to get an engineering master's, it's a pretty easy thing to do, seamless to get in touch with the WUSL people. So I did that. I stayed at CSTU after my lab, which was about 3 hours, and then have worked on some homework, planning out logistics for a ping pong tournament and for an event that SAB is doing this Friday, which a comedian's coming to campus. And then after that, I came back to the apartment and kind of relaxed a little bit and got ready for this. Chima?
Yeah, so before I jump into my day, I'm just gonna go ahead and answer this question that's in the group. So I actually came here as a neuroscience major, a neuroscience and philosophy double major, but I ended up switching to the business program for business economics for 2 different reasons. So the biggest thing that drew me into the business program is that Earlham is actually very, very good with entrepreneurial studies. We have a location on campus called the CoLab, which you don't have to be a business major to participate in CoLab events and etc. But essentially, it's a place, it's a center for innovation, which helps people think about. They give students a lot of resources and activities to be able to go in, learn about entrepreneurship or just product and development, management, those kind of things. And they have tons of free events, bringing a bunch of speakers, and there's a lot of different avenues that you can take with the CoLab. And so that was something that really drew me into the program, seeing as I myself am currently starting my own business with a couple of people that I actually met here. And then also I just, the business program here is a little unique in that there's no one general degree. It's listed under global management. We have a lot of questions. People can't find the business degree. So it's listed under global management, and through global management, we have a lot of different tracks. And so I myself, I was really interested in finance, and there's a specific finance track where you're able to get that holistic education that, you know, we stress at liberal arts schools, but also be able to focus on that individual thing that and specialize on what you're trying to get at, right? So that's 2 of the really big benefits of being in the global management program. So I just want to answer that question for you real quick. But going into how my day looks, so I think probably the biggest advice that I can give to people going to college is that you will have vast amounts of free time that you don't expect you're going to have. And so me myself, I only have class 3 days a week, so Tuesdays and Thursdays I have off. And so it's important that you figure out your passion so you can fill your time with worthwhile things, right? And so for my days, me and my roommates were really big into working out. So I usually get up about 7:30, go on a run or do some jump roping. And then I have class on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays at 9 o'clock, but I try and keep the same schedule on my off days as well. So when I have class, I'm usually in class from 9 to 3 about. And when I'm not, I'm usually working on one of the activities I'm in. So whether that be helping design the curriculum for the recording arts majors, or I've been talking with a couple people about entering this business competition. So trying to design how we're going to do that, or working with my coworkers with our business as well. But so today it was one of those class days where I got up at 8, did a little workout, went through my classes. They're both on Zoom, so it wasn't much. I just roll out of bed, slide over to the desk. And then because I'm on the soccer team, we had practice today. So that's about 2 hours of my day. Now I'm here, and then after this, I'm going to be working on a paper. But at the same time, I'll probably be done with homework at around 9. And so me and my roommates, we have a ton of fun things that we brought into our room, so you just hang out. So yeah, that's usually what my days are looking like.
Thanks, guys. I'll go about my day as well. Today was one of my class days, so I'm kind of similar to Chima. But since I am taking 2 science courses right now, I actually have 2 lab sections. So labs usually run.
Andrew, sorry, like something's wrong with your mic. There's sort of like a weird echo that's. Yeah.
Is it still there?
Oh, that's good.
Better? Okay. Yeah, just let me know if that happens, because I don't want to be just echoing for 45 people. But yeah, so I got up around 8. I actually woke up to someone in maintenance. Apparently our apartment had some rain damage. So someone in maintenance, there was actually a carpenter over our door drilling into stuff. So I woke up to my wall vibrating at like 8:05. It was an awakening.
Super scary.
Yeah, it was terrifying because it really sounded like it was inside our house. And I was like, I guess this is it, but we're still here. And then I had class for, some of my classes are asynchronous, which is what a lot of teachers are doing since we offer all of our classes both in person and online. Some of them are all online. So for biochemistry, I watched a video of him doing the lab, and then I did the lab with the data he provided. And then I also sat through like a 40-minute Zoom lecture that he just pre-records. But then for microbiology, which is the other class I'm taking, we actually get to go in person. So we had about an hour and a half of lecture on Zoom, and then we went in person into CST, which again is our main science building. It's pretty nice. And then we went into CST for about an hour and a half and discussed a paper. And we're also growing some bacterial cultures right now, so we got to check those out, which is a lot of fun. It definitely feels appropriate right now because you have to wear a mask anyway, so it's pretty easy. And then after that, like Chima said, I'm also on the soccer team, so we had practice. It was 93 degrees when we practiced, so practice was pretty tough today. We played full field too, which is a lot of running. But yeah, and then right now I'm probably going to do some more homework later tonight, make something for dinner. Charlie and I are actually off the meal plan, so if you don't live in the dorms, you don't have to be on the meal plan, which definitely has its ups and downs because you're never worried about missing a meal at Saga or anything like that. But then there's also sometimes like I ate pretzels for lunch today or something like that because I didn't manage my time well. So it definitely has its benefits and its drawbacks. But there's a grocery store right next to here, and every dorm at Earlham has a kitchen as well. So I know Chima's done a lot of cooking. I think he had a cooking competition with someone last week. I think Chima won, but we'll see. Yeah, okay. But yeah, and then I'd also like to talk about our days pre-COVID. Just so hopefully by the time you guys come, we'll have more of a sense of normalcy. So normally my day looks like, last year I lived in one of our friendship houses. We focused on sustainable fashion. So I lived with Charlie again last year. So it'd be waking up. Charlie and I were the only ones with morning classes before like 11 a.m. So we'd always get up first. I watched Charlie drink about 3 cups of coffee, kind of in awe, and then make like some scrambled eggs for breakfast or something like that. Run to my class because I managed my time poorly. Get to class at 9. Classes are usually in the mornings, especially, are usually 50-minute blocks. So you're in class for 50 minutes and then you're in another class. So that could be like classes start as early as 8. So you could have like an 8 to 9, then a 9 to 10. A lot of the STEM classes I would say are usually in the mornings because afternoons you have labs. So I'd be in class for like 2 or 3 hours, a couple of different classes. At 12 to 1, everyone's open, everyone's available. So Saga gets pretty crowded during then, but it's also really good during them because they know a lot of people are coming, so they prepare a lot of food. So I like Saga a lot. I definitely eat almost all of my lunches there. And then after that, I'd have lab, and then usually a club meeting, usually an event. Last semester, I was leading outdoor ed events. So we go like skating to some of the nearby towns, like Dayton's a really close town to us, or Cincinnati or Indianapolis. So we go ice skating there, we go rock climbing. During some of our breaks, I led a caving trip. So I found out that I'm not claustrophobic, which was really nice because we were squeezing on like completely flat on our stomachs in a cave. And the cool part about outdoor ed is almost all of these events are free. And yeah, I just think it's really accessible, which is a huge problem in outdoor education, especially in America. It's not really accessible to a lot of people. But here at Earlham, almost every event during the week is free, and the weekend events might be like $5 just to reserve a spot if we have limited spots in the vans or something like that. And then what my weekends look like, it really depends. Sometimes Charlie and I decide to do something like go back campus and try to map out back campus or something like that. We actually have about 400, 500 acres back campus. A total of actually 800, but about 300 we rent out to farmers. So not as accessible. But there's about 450 to 500 acres back there that's just all trails, creeks. Charlie and I went mountain biking, which was only the third time I'd ever been biking, and I kind of ate it. So still recovering from that in some ways. But yeah, there's tons of stuff to do. Interested in becoming a health. Yeah, I'll just take this question right away. I'm interested in becoming a health administrator. Can you talk about public health service programs? So yeah, that definitely depends on what kind of public health administrator you want to become. But we have a public health minor. And the cool thing about our public health minor is we're actually partnered with IU. So IU's graduate school in public health. If you complete the public health minor here at Earlham, you're guaranteed admission into the graduate school. And I think they also give you a decent scholarship too, which is nice. Like just a guaranteed scholarship because you're coming from Earlham. Otherwise, a lot of healthcare administrators actually do. You can do like an MD and then get your master's in healthcare administration. So we actually have this program called LECOM, where it's early admission into med school. So sorry, I just saw another question. I'll answer that in a second. So LECOM is this program you apply to your sophomore year. You don't have to take the MCAT, anything like that. And then you're guaranteed admission into the Lake Erie College of Medicine, which has campuses obviously in Lake Erie. But they also have a Florida campus, which I'm really not sure why. But you can go to med school and get your master's in healthcare administration in Florida. So that's really great if you want to own a private practice or something like that, or obviously become one of the higher ups at a hospital. And then for shadowing opportunities, we're partnered with our local hospital. It's called Reed Hospital. It's brand new. Ooh, nice, Dan Sally question. It's brand new. So Reed was just built in 2017. So we actually we're partnered with them where you can shadow them. You get to meet with doctors weekly. Usually you do about 2 to 3 hours a week. And that's actually obviously through our Center for Global Health, which is one of our EPIC centers that has a lot of funding. But yeah, that's mostly it. The public health minor is a bit like, there's a couple of education classes. There's a couple of like medical anthropology classes. It's a pretty easy minor to knock out, which is nice because then you can take, we have so many different medicine and healthcare related courses and a lot of different departments. So you really get to choose. And then do we offer sports medicine? So we actually just started an exercise science major, which is really nice. So it's taught a bit by our athletic trainer and then some of our biology professors as well. So if you want to major in exercise science, which is essentially very similar to sports medicine, you can actually do that. So that's a new major. I wish I could tell you more about it, but we literally just started it this year. So I don't know a lot about the classes. Can you guys talk about dance alloy and your experiences? Have any of you guys done dance alloy? If not, I can definitely talk about it, or Charlie can.
I've been to dance alloy. I am working up the courage to someday take part in dancing in dance alloy because for someone who like me, who like the furthest extent of my dancing is like looking in a mirror and doing a shimmy and then smiling. It's like, it's going to take a little bit of like, I got to muster up some courage, but there's student choreographed dances ranging on like a chili pepper scale as far as like how scandalous they are per se. just kidding. Like, there's nothing crazy, but it's student choreographed, and it's just something that you can do for fun. It's a great avenue for meeting new people and surrounding yourself with a group of people who isn't in your like social circle necessarily. And yeah, I mean, it's everyone shows out to the whenever the final dances are. Like the atmosphere is electric. The dances are always super fire. It's a really fun thing that we do.
So it looks like we got a couple more questions. Are there any classes for criminal investigations? I think there's one rotating class that comes in year over year, but we definitely don't have like a major. So a lot of people, it depends on what, again, like you can kind of take tracks of a major. So we have integrated pathways. But we don't have any dedicated classes for criminal investigations, I would say, that are like consistent. But we do offer, a lot of our chemistry professors will actually do some forensic analysis. So they'll do that, or some other courses like that. So if you're interested in going to grad school in like any kind of forensics, this is definitely a good place to be.
And I do know that it's not an official major, but one of my close friends, he's taking classes that'll guide him towards criminal justice. And so I know that the school is very willing to cooperate with people so that they can take the classes that they need, so they'll be able to go on to either higher education or be prepared to enter any field that they need. One of our teammates is a prime example. He essentially was able to work with Earlham to set up a track for him so that he could accomplish his goals, seeing as there wasn't a distinct major for him to take, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that's all good. We also, you can kind of make your own major as well. So I have a friend who was interested in early childhood education, and she just straight up made her own major. It's Grace Muma. She's kind of a legend around here. But she just straight up made her own major by combining and talking to some professors in obviously our MAT program, as well as our psychology program and our HDSR program. HDSR is human development. And now she's just doing her own major that she created herself, which is really cool. And not only can you design your own major when you get here, you can also submit proposals, just like Chima said he's doing, to make majors as well. Some more questions.
I can talk on epic experiences.
Yeah, you're gonna do.
Although I will say, for ACT and SAT testing, I took the ACT. I think it helped me, especially in terms of securing financial aid. So I'm here on an academic scholarship, and that's mainly probably due to my ACT because my GPA was not that pretty. So I would say at least take it once, see what you get. And if you feel like you can improve, maybe take it a second time because it really can't hurt you. But yes, we are test optional. But yes, so I'm going to talk a little bit about epic experiences / study abroad. They're very similar topics. So study abroad is, as I'm sure you can imagine, it's the opportunity to be able to study abroad or arguably in the country, but at different universities for either a semester, a May term, or a summer experience. So those are kind of, I suppose, interchangeable. It just depends on the price that you're paying. So as I'm sure you know about EPIC, there's the ability for the school to help you fund these experiences. May terms are usually fully funded. Semesters are usually partially funded, and summers are dependent on what you are trying to do. But essentially, there are a lot of different experiences based upon which part of the year you're going in. So semesters abroad, you're usually working, you're usually studying and at a different university, whether that be in a different country or a different state, and taking very targeted classes. Most of them will be intentionally helping you move towards your major, so you don't usually lose any time. I think the biggest example of this are people who are doing languages. They're able to go to the other language, other countries which speak their native languages and take classes towards their other majors. So I know a friend who took science classes in a Spanish-speaking country and helped them towards their biology major, but it also fulfilled the requirement for their language classes. I think Spanish especially, it requires you to study abroad. So, but in terms of midterms, those are usually more guided experiences. So we have a lot of different types of midterms. I think Andrew can probably speak on that a little bit more than I can because he has taken one himself. But in terms of summer experiences, those are very open-ended. So those are probably the most open-ended experiences we can have, and you have to apply to take them. And so whether that be studying at another college or doing internship, you can use your EPIC. You just have to give a reason why it is relevant. So me personally, I didn't take an EPIC because I secured a different scholarship, but essentially I was able to go over to Shanghai last summer and work in private equity real estate. And that was fully funded by the school through our EPIC program, essentially. So there's a lot of different things you can do. I guess the best way to think of it is May terms are about a month of very targeted and guided experiences. Semesters are usually focused on studying, albeit in a different country or state. And then summers are more so open-ended. You have to describe what you're doing and why this is relevant to your education.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, Chima. One distinction I want to make between our study abroad experiences and our EPICs is that studying abroad here at Earlham, you don't pay anything extra. So you just pay regular tuition and regular room and board and regular housing as if you're living on campus. And then obviously, I mean, it's not necessarily going to look like a dorm life or something like that. Like, for example, our Ecuador program, you live in homestays with local families there and they cook you meals. And then you might take classes at a local university, but it'll vary. And then, yeah, the EPICs are usually a bit shorter. Like mine was about 4 weeks. So I know Chima's experience was most of the summer. And then the EPICs, there's faculty-led ones that you apply for in the spring. And then there's also, obviously, like Chima said, the summer programs. There's tons of different fully funded options to take over the summer from really every major and every path has like different funding opportunities if you want to study over the summer. And that could be, I mean, it could be, yeah, I can't even list them all. It's really anything you want to design. Charlie, do you want to say something?
Yeah, just to speak that a tiny bit, and then I'll answer a different question. But like I was planning on going to Philly, which is not studying abroad, but it's an off-campus program where I would have been living in downtown Philadelphia and taking an internship doing, ideally I would have been doing research, but it got canceled due to the circumstances, which are understandable. But yeah, okay, so I'll talk a little bit about how is living on campus like, because this year is a new, I've lived, freshman year, I lived in a dorm. Sophomore year, I lived in a house that we kind of made an application for and applied for. Earlham has friendship in theme houses, which are you have to renew on some time interval, which for theme houses, I think it's like 3 or 5 years, but friendship houses, it's every year. So if you have some sort of idea or thing that you and a group of people on campus are particularly passionate about and you want to form a community around it, you can apply for it to be a house and you can live there and you can live in these really cool old, like awesome houses. And then this year I'm living off campus, about as off campus as you can be, but it's living on campus has been my freshman year. It was amazing. It was like I would go to the Heart almost every day. I would just chill there. In the summer, everyone's just walking around. There's a ton of Adirondack chairs like all around the Heart, and people are just like resting, just talking. And there's a lot of community, intercommunity like engagement, I guess. Like we all are hanging out. It's one of the most I've heard people say, people who have either transferred out or transferred in, one of the biggest things they talk about is the inclusivity of the community, in that like if there's like some social event on the weekend, no one's not letting you come in because you're a freshman, or like no one's asking you who you know in order to like hang out or do any sort of things. There's not really there's not a lot of exclusivity, which is really, really nice, because that ends up limiting kind of the breadth of your perspective in meeting new people and having cool conversations.
Yeah, if I can add something to that, yeah, I think Earlham has been one of the more accepting places I've ever been to, in the sense of like you can, like, it's very free to just explore, and like the community is really accepting, like Charlie was saying. Like, for example, I mean, I suck at sports, but sometimes I go play soccer, like pick up soccer with a bunch of people, and I suck, but like we're just there to have fun. And I don't know, like, for example, I've also had the chance to do like participate with youth in a business competition, which I had never done before. I mean, I had no clue how to write a business plan, and like, I mean, we figured it out together, and there was a lot of support. So there's a lot of like space to explore, as long as you're willing to, you know, put yourself out there and step out of your comfort zone.
I think something I do what Donna was just talking about, and maybe we haven't mentioned enough yet, is the personal connections that we have with professors. And really, it's kind of incredible. For me, it was maybe like almost a small culture shock coming in here. We call all of our professors by their first names, and there's just really this like almost family. The second you enter the classroom here, it almost feels like you start to develop this like family sort of relationships with your professors. And it's, I don't know, office hours are often held outside, or you can grab coffee with your professor and talk about literally anything. And for me, I've really developed some great relationships with my mentors, and yeah, the whole mentorship vibe is really present here, definitely.
Yeah. I have, sorry. I have a lot of my friends who go to like bigger colleges, who complain about like, you know, their classes are like 100 people in the class. Like the professor doesn't even know your name. They don't even know you. Like it wouldn't even be noticed if you weren't there. I think like the classroom experience, and yeah, like being able to have like a closer relationship with your professor is, I think it's one of the biggest um, like it's really valuable, especially to like the learning experience, and also like because they're able to connect you personally to like other opportunities, for example, even like outside of campus if they know someone. I know an alumni who got a job right after college because his professor knew someone, and they recommended them, and yeah.
Does anyone wanna drop the Princeton review fact? That's like, we're kind of alluding to it a little bit. One of the big like, not like, I guess one of our bigger accolades is like pretty routinely in the last few years, every year we've gotten like top 20 in the nation for best in classroom experience, which is kind of what we've been talking about. It's a very unique place to allow you to grow to your full learning potential.
Yeah. There's a question about how are religious backgrounds expressed at Earlham. So I think there's a lot of space for that. Like we have an interfaith house, for example, which is like Charlie and Andrew were talking about the houses. And so the theme of this house is specifically like communications between different faiths. And I have a lot of friends who live there. We also have every once in a while there's like Friday Shabbat, which is the Jewish house. which puts on like an open Shabbat, and you can go and talk to people and just have a good time. There's also one of my favorite things about campus life here is also the college meeting for worship. It's a Quaker tradition where like there's a theme for the semester, and they invite like people from the campus, specific people to come and share their experiences about the theme. For example, right now, the theme for the semester is love. So we've had, sometimes it's professors, sometimes it's students talking about their experiences on and their opinions about it. And I think it's a really open, nice space to, it's not really like worship in the traditional sense, but it's a lot more like just coming and talking about like human experiences. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has anything to add on that.
Yeah. So also one thing that I personally take advantage of is that we have free yoga classes every day, as well as guided meditation sessions. I think 4 days a week. I don't do that, but I go to yoga, and it's usually very, very good and intensive, but not too hard. As for church services, there's usually groups on campus that will either travel together or help shuttle people to whatever services they need. Obviously, Richmond's a city, not huge, but they have various churches of most denominations pretty close to campus. I can also take the sports questions. So I'll first talk about the sports culture on campus. It's unique because obviously we're a small campus, right? So you're not going to have thousands of people in the stands, but most sports get a very large following, and a lot of people like to support their friends, and so a lot of the atmosphere is very, very fun and very personal, which I think is very nice because there's not the people who are celebrating for you, you know very well because of the size of the campus, which is it's very cool. In terms of playing, so Earlham is a D3 school, right? So if you're not aware, D3 doesn't allow schools to recruit via scholarships, as you might imagine, for D2 and D1. However, I will say that because of that, one, there's not as much of a demand, although the coaches are very motivating of the students to, try and balance both things. And in terms of financially, if you are looking to play a sport here, the coaches, I can speak from experience, bend over backwards to help you find scholarships that you qualify for. That's how I found the academic scholarship that I'm on right now. And so I know that the coaches will bend over backwards if you want to play to help you find a way to pay, right? And in terms of process of getting into any sports teams, I think the easiest way for you to do that is if you go to our athletics page and you go to the team that you want to try out for or be recruited for. It's as easy as just there's a drop down menu, and it will say, I believe, I can't remember what it says, but it's like get recruited or apply or something like that, something along those lines. And it'll just bring up a spreadsheet where you put all your contact information, what you do, how long you've been playing the sport, stuff like that. And then the coaches and the assistant coaches will just reach out to you and go from there. Also, I'm sure if you can find their email them directly, and they'll get back to you. But in terms of that, yeah. But yes, there's also an athletics session coming up. So.
All right, it looks like we're running a bit low on time, so I know we've got 2 questions that we haven't gotten to, so maybe we can answer these a bit quicker. What are your favorite traditions on campus? I muted myself. That's a great question. There's a lot of traditions that have been here for, decades and decades. One of my favorite definitely is the themed parties we have at the different houses. So obviously Earlham doesn't have Greek life, but each house actually like the party schedule kind of rotates for like one house will have a party on the weekend or something like that, or maybe two. And like the party kind of follows the theme of the house a lot of it. Like Woodman, which is our art house, had like a art critique party where everybody dressed up like snobby artists. And then we just had fun doing that. And we've had like Spanish house plays Spanish music, obviously, and other houses follow similar themes, which I think is definitely a really entertaining thing for me. But also like the houses have regular events that you get to go to, which I just really like all the different themes because you really get to, like Charlie said, step out of your comfort zone and be with people who might not normally run in your same social circle, which I think has been a really huge thing for me during Earlham. You guys want to all answer that?
I can talk about clubs. If it like first, does anyone else want to talk about traditions? There's
Sure.
hash, which I want to. You got to come to campus to learn about hash. We won't talk about that right now, but does someone else want to talk about the traditions? I can talk about clubs and stuff.
Yeah, one tradition that I really like is we have an international festival, not usually every fall. We're not having it this year because of COVID, but usually it's like a fair where all the international students have a stand about their country, and it's usually during family weekend. So there's a lot of like people's families would come and visit them and come and learn about like the diversity at Earlham. Usually it's like the International Student Coalition that puts it up, and there's like good food from like the best Indian restaurant in town, and it's all free and it's a really fun time. I'm kind of sad we're not having it this year, but we're trying to see if we can do it during spring. So hopefully that'll work out.
This is not really, well, I guess officially it's not a tradition, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. So basically in the middle of our campus, there's this big grass lawn called Heart. We call it the Heart because it's in the middle. And I guess one thing that Earlhamites really like to do is just sit on the Heart, like after classes. We have these large white wooden chairs, and well, like also lots of events happen there, but basically after classes or in the evenings, lots of students gather there, um, eat pizza, or like just enjoy the late night Earlham campus vibe and chat and have fun. And I think that's, especially now during COVID when we have to practice social distancing, hanging out outside has really become like a thing for many of us. And yeah, it's like a little tradition that we practice every day, and it really contributes to like the community vibe of the school.
Really quick. Oh shoot, sorry. Go ahead, Juma. Or were you talking?
I was just gonna answer briefly so you could get back to clubs, but probably a little selfishly since we're the homecoming game, but I like homecoming.
And then just one more is usually bi-weekly, whenever we're not in the midst of a pandemic, we have Kathmandu, which is essentially an open mic night that Music House hosts, which is another house. So that's always a really cool thing. And that's another thing, if you got the courage for it, or if you want to just go support some peers and listen to like how many crazy talents Earlhamites have, then you just go to Music House on Fridays. The clubs, there's a lot of really popular clubs. A lot of students are pretty involved. The best one is definitely Frisbee. Like nothing else is even close. But I'd say like second, third, fourth best, they're all like pretty highly debated. There's a lot of, obviously I'm joking, but like we have men's and women's rugby. Men's rugby is, I think it's in the works of getting revamped. We have the Ultimate Frisbee team. We have Cosmos, which is a collection of students monitoring outer space, which I'm a part of. We have an observatory that's backed by the baseball field. And thank you, Michael. And it's, I don't know, there's something for everyone. And I mean, it just comes back to like the inclusivity of it all. Is even if like I was absolute not I wasn't horrible, but I really was not good at all at frisbee in my freshman year, and I came and I stayed for like the people who I was surrounded with, because we're just a bunch of weirdos who like throwing the disc around and playing with each other, and like we go play tournaments, and there's just so much camaraderie which can be found in a lot of the sports. Yeah.
Oh yeah, also like another one of my favorite traditions, which kind of ties into the clubs, is we have Peace and Justice Week in the spring. So it's just a week where a lot of the clubs, like for example, we have students for peace and justice in Palestine. We have students for Free Tibet, where they organize like fundraising events and cool like awareness and social justice events like that. Last year we had a huge fundraising dinner for refugees. You can talk a little bit more about that as well, because you were in it. You were helping to organize that. But I think it's really like Earlham is really big on social justice, and just I think that's one of the huge themes of this campus. And I think it's really good at helping you like be more aware about the world that we're living in, and like how we can help in productive ways. Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much said it all, but I like social justice is really big aspects. But and it's funny because it's not, we have this one major called Peace and Global Studies. Is that the correct term? I think so. And it's a really popular major here, and I believe it's unique to Earlham. But like, there's lots of other social justice events, like Donna said, Peace and Justice Week, where definitely not only PAC students are involved. And I mean, I study art history, and I was one of the organizers, so there's that. But yeah, definitely one thing that you'll meet in lots of events, social justice, fight for social justice, and it's really incorporated in almost all departments here at Earlham. No matter what you study, you'll probably come across the theme, the whole advocacy aspect.
All right, well, for the sake of time, it is 8 p.m. If you guys don't have any more real quick questions, I think that's about it. I know this is being recorded, and if you have more questions, obviously definitely come visit. I give info sessions, I give tours. I'm pretty funny in person. And also, we're having several more online events. We're having one each week. So we're having an athletic event next week. We're having an essay writing workshop. I think we're having a couple events where we'll have some professors here. And yeah, thanks so much for coming, guys.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks to our current students for taking the time and answering all the questions, and Andrew hosting for such a great program tonight. So thanks, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Andrew. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, Joe.